Are you looking for a better way to define and describe marketing for your clients or for your business? Then let's stare into the Marketing Metaphorest. Hey everyone, Jake Sanders, POSMarketer here. I'm a musician, marketer, audio illustrator, and content strategist, and today I wanted to introduce a metaphor that combines my love of astronomy and my love of content marketing. So strap on a pair of binoculars and let's talk about the spectroscopy of content. The spectroscopy of content is an attempt to find the connective and underlying structures that all marketed messages share. Whether it's account-based marketing, content marketing, mass market, advertising, native, guerrilla, paid, earned, owned, taglines, slogans, calls to action, marketing is all about humans communicating with other humans. The spectroscopy of content provides an understanding of human behavior, its shared triggers and environments, and uses this information preemptively to increase the relevancy and effectiveness of the marketing we choose to foist upon the world. First, let's cover what spectroscopy is. Spectroscopy is a scientific measurement technique. It measures light that is emitted, absorbed, or scattered by materials and can be used to study, identify, and quantify those materials. One thing that you need to remember is that light is a lot more than just the colored visible light that we can see. This is interesting for two reasons. One, what we see as plain white visible light actually contains all the colors of the rainbow, plus a collection of wavelengths that we can't even sense as humans. And two, spectroscopy breaks up a complex, noisy signal, such as light, into discrete constituent parts, provides a glimpse of once imperceptible structures, and brings meaningful data points out of chaos. Now let's bring this back to marketing. Content starts as this solid concept, a beam of light ready to illuminate the minds of our target audience. The beam is the message, and the message is the beam. Strong calls to action tracking is set up. We'll know what success means, and we'll be able to point to business goals that content will help to achieve. We fire the solid beam of light into the blackness of deep space / the internet / America's living room. Now let's briefly return to the science of light. Light is perceived by its reflection off of surfaces, and two different reflections are possible: diffuse and specular. Light rays travel from a source and then reflect off of an object towards our eyes. Specular reflection sends discrete beams in specific directions. Diffuse reflection sends many different beams in several directions. So what about our content? Once our beam of light is perceived by our audience, will they, via the specular reflection principle, be able to understand specific messages or triggers embedded in the beam? Or will the light spread out into a million different meanings, fade into the background, a diffuse reflection of our loaded content beam? Well, didn't we think about the audience and the effect our content would have on their mind, Prism? Did we think to analyze our content's impact spectrum? A few more metaphors. Just as prisms help to break apart light, the interpretation of marketing content happens in the audience mind prism. The audience's mind prism is the only medium through which your lighted message is decoded and understood. Content is not what you think it is. It's what your audience thinks it is. Content is not the beam of light you send, it's the beam of light that is received. And further complicating things, each mind prism is unique and its absorption can change with its environment, and no two will absorb information the exact same way. So in the spectroscopy of content, we're seeking to consciously prefabricate the beam of light, knowing what spectral lines need to be absorbed by the audience, amplifying the strength of those wavelengths, and thoughtfully anticipating the myriad ways our content may be interpreted or misinterpreted by the mind prism. Once the light is considered through the mind prism, the impact spectrum should be analyzed and considered. To explain this last piece, we return to light. The spectrum from distant stars contain the signatures of the elements that compose the star. Spectral absorption lines in the wavelength of visible light correspond with elements present in the star's chemical makeup. There is a hydrogen line, a sodium line, magnesium, etc. In the spectroscopy of content, the absorption lines reflect the ideas or concepts that are anticipated to hit the intended impact spectrum, and we have several different spectra of understanding. Here are 3 different versions I've specifically created for this piece, but there's room for thousands more. Are we soliciting buyer behavior? Are we making someone mad? Are we talking about cultural values? Is this a curveball with a mysterious trajectory, a fast pitch in an elevator, or a beach ball in a stadium? Does this message leave enough room for the recipient's ego? Does the content talk about personal things or relevant ideas in society? Will this make them think of church, school, the bedroom, or the barbershop? Before we launch any content, we have to ensure that its light will reflect into at least one impact spectra, if not multiple. And although it's true that each mind prism is unique, certain concepts, like the ones briefly covered in the previous examples, work on more basic levels. Humans are unique, but human behaviors and reactions tend not to be. In closing, the spectroscopy of content aims to understand the ways information impacts people on basic levels, and use this information to fortify and empower the messages we send in the future. Whether we're analyzing various mind prisms or the associated impact spectrum of a message, one thing remains true throughout this marketing metaphor. Our success depends not on how much we put ourselves into our marketing, but by how strongly our marketing considers its audience. Want to add on to this metaphor or find out how it can all apply to your business? Hit me up on the POS Marketing blog, follow me on social, and until next time, I'll see you on the internet.